So I'm just gonna give y'all a little bit of a life update in terms of like dating, career, grief, everything. So let's just get into it. Hey girls! First of all, let me wipe off the dust from my camera. My camera was getting to the point where it was literally collecting dust. But I'm back, I'm here, and we have a lot to talk about. So this is just gonna be like a get ready with me style video. And the first question you're probably asking is like, where have you been? And the short answer to that is TikTok. I've been on TikTok. So if you've been following me for a while now, you know I started on TikTok in like 2020 and my account was Princess Tanny. I grew a pretty big following on that account, and that's when I really started to just like fall in love with content creation, and I learned so much about myself and like the kind of content that I like to create. Now towards the end of 2021, I started to lose some momentum when it came to content creation because I felt like my content wasn't really reaching my audience. So I made the decision one day that I just wanted to rebrand. So that's exactly what I did. At the end of 2022, I started a new account, and this time around I was very intentional about what kind of content I wanted to create and who I wanted to reach. And let me tell y'all, I have been so grateful for the success that I've had on this account, and I just finally feel like my content is reaching the people that it needs to reach. And the day I'm filming this is actually the 1-year anniversary of my TikTok, so happy 1 year. Happy 1 year. So I said to myself, you know what? If I can take myself seriously for 1 year and grow a community on TikTok the way I did, then I can do the same thing with YouTube. So I was like, you know what, girl, you need to wipe off the dust on your camera, okay? Because my camera literally has been sitting in the same spot for like over a year. Now this time around, my content is definitely going to be more beauty and mindset focused because that's the content that I've been creating for the past year and I really love it. So you'll be seeing me post a little bit more focused content on YouTube, which I wasn't really doing before. I was kind of just posting like whatever I wanted to post, and I really want to be a little bit more intentional this year. So let's get into this little life update, girl, because it has been a year. Now, I already know that y'all want to hear about the dating first, so let's just get into it. My dating life this past year has been practically non-existent. Yeah. Now, I will say I was seeing someone towards the beginning of the year. Still a touchy topic. It's not that touchy, but anyways, girl, let me just close my concealer for this. So, I was seeing someone at the beginning of the year and didn't work out. I'm laughing about it, but like at the time I told myself I wasn't hurt by it, but then as time has gone on, I'm like, ooh. And I didn't really go into it with the expectation of like, oh my God, I'm gonna spend the rest of my life with this man. But when it ended, I was like, oh. Like I was just like, oh, okay. And I went from seeing him almost like every single day to nothing, which definitely was an adjustment. But around the time I also lost my grandpa, so I didn't really have time to grieve the relationship. I just immediately went to grieving my grandpa. And I'm gonna get into that in a moment, but since then I haven't really like dated anyone this year. I did very briefly like talk with my ex just a little bit. We exchanged a few messages, a few calls, and it was just like, yeah, you're still the same. So aside from that, this year has really just been me focusing on myself, personal growth, personal development, self-improvement. Okay, little trick. I've been loving mixing the Rare Beauty blush in shade Happy with this Juvia's Place blush in shade Dahlia. I just mix a little bit. These two blushes are super pigmented, like you have to be very careful. And I just mix this on the back of my hand and it just makes such a pretty color. I just add literally 1 dot. That's all blended out. I usually go back in with another blush later, but first let's do a little bit of setting powder. Now I mentioned before that after things ended with the guy I was seeing at the beginning of the year, that my grandpa passed away. And girl, that was really challenging, and it's still challenging. It still feels very fresh and I still feel like I'm grieving him. He passed away right before his 81st birthday, so it just has been really challenging without him. Now, if you watch some of my videos, you'll know that I was a caregiver for my grandfather. So I saw him literally every single day. And I actually saw him a few hours before he passed away. And I just like knew in my heart, like I knew something was wrong. A couple days before he passed away, he wasn't eating. And that's how I knew. Like, my grandpa loved to eat. He would eat all of his food. It didn't even matter if it was something he didn't really like. He would still eat all of it. So when he stopped eating, I knew, like, this is not right. My grandpa had Alzheimer's and dementia, and in the last year of his life, he started losing a lot of his like physical capabilities. So in the last year, I felt like I was already preparing myself. And anyone who's experienced a loved one with Alzheimer's or dementia knows exactly what I mean, but you slowly just start to lose parts of them. So for the last year and a half or so of his life, he was in a nursing home, and that was a very difficult decision for my family and I to make. But we knew that he needed more care than what we could provide. So my mom and I moved him into a nursing home, but we didn't give up our caregiving rules. Like, we still saw him every single day. We still did all the things that we did at home, but now we were just getting more assistance from nurses and CNAs that could also help us. Now, I will say that we had a handful of nurses and CNAs that we did trust to really take care of him. But for the most part, like, a lot of the CNAs and nurses were very overwhelmed. So like, it was really sad to go in there and see patients that didn't have family or friends or like anyone come to visit them, and they really depended on staff to take care of them. And you can just see like the care just wasn't as well-rounded. Now, after my grandpa passed away, I really struggled with this feeling of like, what do I do now? Because he was a part of my everyday routine, and to just kind of have that abruptly end, I just felt like I had so much free time, and like I didn't know what to do to fill in the space. And truthfully, nothing will ever really fill in that space, right? Because that was my grandpa, that was my heart. Like, I loved him so dearly, and I'm so grateful for all the time that we shared. So that was my moment where I really started to just like recenter and try to find myself again. Now, the first like few months without my grandpa, I was okay for the most part. And then I turned 25. And girl, when I turned 25, quarter life crisis. Okay? I was like, oh my God, what is the point? What's the point? What's the reason? Literally was so unwell during August. Like, unwell. And I've never really experienced like an existential crisis like this, but oh girl. I had one. I was honestly feeling just like so sad and so overwhelmed, and just like, what is the point? Like, that's literally the question I woke up with every single day, is like, what is the point? And I was still grieving my grandpa, so I was really in this thought pattern of like, what is the whole point of this if like we're all gonna die, you know? So girl, I was going through it. And I don't really know if one specific thing pulled me out of it. I think it was just something that I had to get through. And slowly over time, I started to feel a little bit better. But I will say during that time, I really just tried to give myself the space to just like cry and just lay in bed all day and like do nothing. Like, that's just what I needed to do. Okay, this is how I know I really love content creation, because even on the days that I wasn't really feeling myself, I was still making my little TikToks. And I'm truly just so grateful for my community, because content creation has really gotten me through some of the most challenging times of my life. And I just pull out my phone. I just make my little TikToks. And, you know, even if it doesn't make me feel 100% okay, I feel okay in that moment. And that is so special. And that is why I love doing this. Now, the girls who follow me on TikTok know how much I love this lip liner. Such a pretty color. Just such a pretty color. I'm just taking this nude shade in the middle. Cute. I'm gonna use this MAC gloss. It's a new tube, so I don't actually like to apply it directly on top, because I want to keep it clean. So glossy. So this is the final look. What's it giving, girls? I realized I didn't talk about career stuff. Right now, I'm figuring it out, girl. I'm very serious about content creation. I see myself doing this full time. Right now, all the questions and concerns about my career, I'm just giving to God, because I know that what is meant for me will be for me. So that's it for today. Thank you all so much for giving me the space to just chat with y'all and just to reconnect. I missed you all so much and I can't wait to see you in my next video.